Hi, my name is Gage Tibbetts, and today I'll be presenting on my recommendation report for Nike Incorporated. To begin, Nike is obviously a global leader in the sports apparel industry, and their famous slogan, "Just Do It," has been the attitude that they have adopted over the years. This aggressive approach has been a positive for the company as well as a negative, especially concerning their CSR efforts. Nike has several strengths and weaknesses, as does any company, which I'd like to highlight throughout this report. Nike also has several strong CSR goals for the future, as they've seen how greatly this can benefit themselves as well as their communities and the world around them. So I'd like to first talk about Nike's strengths, the first of which will be brand recognition and resources. Second will be revenue growth, and the third, research and development. The first strength is brand recognition and resources. Nike is obviously a highly recognizable brand with over 1,000 stores throughout the world, almost 400 in the US alone. Through this, they've been able to accumulate many resources, and this has been very beneficial for Nike to help accomplish its CSR goals. And an example of this was the $81 million that it recently invested in local communities to help children to become active, which obviously would not be possible if Nike did not have the resources available to allocate toward a goal like this. The next strength for Nike is revenue growth. Nike has seen a 7.5% revenue increase in 2019 alone. And this increase in revenue helps investors to remain confident in Nike and their decisions. And this allows Nike to follow through with its CSR goals, such as the $81 million that it invested in its local communities. CSR practices also help to produce revenue and help to promote positive public relations for Nike as well. The last strength that I'd like to talk about is Nike's research and development team. Over the years, Nike has been able to develop a top-of-the-line research and development team that has allowed them to stay one step ahead of their competition in all aspects of their business, including their CSR efforts. This team provides the company with the know-how to set and complete their goals. And one example of this is their goal to transform 1 billion plastic bottles into polyester jerseys, which wouldn't be possible without their research team providing them with the knowledge on how to do this. And this not only benefits the environment, but it also benefits the less fortunate who will be receiving these jerseys. The first weakness that I'd like to go over is poor labor conditions in foreign countries. Nike has been heavily scrutinized over the years for their sweatshop-like conditions in foreign factories, particularly in Southeast Asia spanning back to the 90s. They've been accused of abusive treatment, child labor, low wages, and long hours. And despite Nike's best efforts to ameliorate the situation, they are still accused of story branding to make themselves look like the good guys in the situation, and it's just evidence that Nike will likely always have to be trying to overcome this problem, and it may always be a weakness despite their efforts to make it better. The next weakness is product recall and failure. Nike has had several products recalled due to societal issues, one of which, in the most recent, was the Betsy Ross themed sneakers that were deemed racially offensive. Another example of this was the sneaker that had to be recalled due to a logo that looked like the Arabic writing for Allah. So even though both of these situations were honest mistakes made by Nike, they had to take the loss both in their revenue as well as the bad media attention that they received for both incidences. The last weakness is brand recognition, which happens to be a strength as well. Nike receives the spotlight a lot of the times, which is not always a positive thing, as was discussed earlier when talking about the poor labor conditions in foreign factories. Nike is heavily scrutinized for their mistakes, and it's difficult for them to overcome their mistakes due to the heavy media attention that they receive for them. Nike is also presented with several opportunities. The ones that I will discuss are e-commerce and the internet, innovation from research and development, and growing global sports equipment industry. So the first opportunity is e-commerce and the internet. The shift to the internet and social media in recent years has been highly beneficial for Nike. They've been able to partner with internet giants such as Amazon, And they've been able to accumulate a massive social media following as well. As can be seen, 104 million followers on Instagram alone, which in comparison to some countries in the world is equal to or more than their population. Nike can instantly connect with their followers throughout the globe by using these mediums. And they've been able to benefit greatly in their CSR efforts as they've been able to promote them through these platforms. On their websites and their social media platforms, it's clear that equality is a major concern right now, and they're trying to promote that as best they can. So this is just, goes to show how important these platforms are for Nike and how much of an opportunity it is for them in the future. The next opportunity for Nike is innovation from research and development. As discussed before, Nike is highly invested in their research and development team, and this team is able to monitor human behavior through advanced analytics, and they're able to adjust their CSR initiatives accordingly and adjust to social changes that happen throughout the globe. The next opportunity for Nike is a growing global sports equipment industry. Major markets are opening up to Nike in ways that they've never seen before. In fact, there's a projected 26.1% increase from 2017 to 2022 for Nike. And Nike's CSR practices are helping to bolster this industry. Nike has a goal to get 17 million kids active in the near future. And it's through these types of initiatives that they're able to continue to bolster their industry as these kids use their equipment and clothing, and those around them do as well. As powerful as Nike is, there are threats that they are faced with, one of which is competition, and another one is labor conditions in foreign countries. The first threat is competition. Nike is in a highly competitive industry with competitors such as Adidas, Puma, and Under Armour. These competitors are working just as hard as Nike to improve their corporate social responsibility efforts, and they all know how important it is to be an industry leader in this field. So they're all working to best each other in this area. Another threat for Nike is labor conditions in foreign countries, which was discussed earlier as a weakness, but it's a weakness that is stuck with Nike to this day, despite its best efforts to overcome it. It shows that Nike really does have a small margin of error in this field and needs to watch what they do at all times here. It was just brought up again in 2018 when Nike signed the divisive athlete Colin Kaepernick, as people scrutinize Nike for being able to sign him to a contract rather than investing in helping their factory workers in foreign fields. From all this, it's important to highlight the recommendations for Nike, which are learn from the past CSR errors, continue to grow in research and development, and focus on e-commerce and social media. The first and possibly most important recommendation for Nike is to learn from its past CSR errors. Nike has already been trying to overcome its negative history in regards to its CSR, and they've been taking actions to reinvent themselves in this field. They've been improving equality, reducing poverty, and promoting physical activity throughout the United States as well as the world. Their new CEO has even stepped up to state that he knows how much of an impact Nike can make. This shows just how aware they are that they can really have a major impact on the world, and that they're going to continue to take steps in the future to improve themselves and improve those around them. This will result in happy workers in foreign factories as well as domestic factories, positive media attention for Nike, and loyal customers that will help Nike to continue to bring in revenue. Another important recommendation for Nike is to continue growth in research and development. This is one of Nike's strongest attributes, so it's where they need to continue to invest. It will help Nike to stay one step ahead of their competition in all regards, but they must focus on CSR strategies and initiatives so that they can stay ahead in this field as well. This will help Nike to remain an industry leader, again, in all fields, but especially in their corporate social responsibility, where they don't have the brightest history and where their future is more bright than their history. The last recommendation for Nike is to continue to focus on e-commerce and social media. Nike already has a very large e-commerce market and a huge social media following. They have instant access to hundreds of millions of customers and followers, which is something that no company really has seen in the past, other than those in the present day. And Nike is one of the leaders that is able to take advantage of this opportunity. Nike needs to continue to promote their CSR efforts through these mediums, which it's clear that they have already done as you look at their website and their social media platforms, that they are continuing to promote their efforts for gender equality and social equality, and efforts to improve, upon poverty and all of these issues. It's clear that almost anyone in the world has access to Nike to see what their goals are and what their initiatives are, and Nike needs to continue to utilize these tools to reach out and to show the world what they're planning on doing to help. And this will show that Nike is not just a company focused on profits for their own benefit, but they are also focused on their communities on the world, and they're focused on helping people to overcome problems and on making better these social issues that we see in the world today. In conclusion, Nike is still at the top of the game, and that's thanks in large part to their just do it attitude. However, this attitude has landed them into some CSR troubles in the past, and it seems as though Nike has changed this attitude to more of a just do the right thing rather than just do it. And this can be seen in their recent CSR efforts to help benefit their communities and society around them. Nike needs to continue to diligently promote these changes. And in this way, Nike will be able to change the world for the better. And people will think of Nike, not as a company who does things for their own good and for their own profit, but as a company who does things for the good of the world and for the people around them.